Hangouts.
On air?
Yeah, usually there's a.
We have 2 viewers. We have 3.
Yeah, there we go. So here is your various shares. So if you want to share a screen, usually you click on there.
Oh, right.
And then pick what you want. Is that it? Is that your main desktop you want to share?
I'm going to do the slideshow first. So that'd be the one in the middle of the bottom.
That one?
Yeah. Might as well get the dog and pony show out of the way.
Okay, so that should be what's going out over the wire now.
Good, good. And then the audio, I suppose it's working.
Should be picking up off of the PC.
Great. Okay, everybody. We're going to start cranking up here. First of all, what I had to talk about initially is all available online. So, and this will be posted at the end of the meetup. It's not a lot of content, and I don't want to belabor the point. So I'll bring it back down here. Okay, and that's being shared, or this is being shared?
Let me see.
Yes. It's like being on television. You can't see the TV.
I am seeing your slides.
Excellent. Oh, okay, so you're seeing this slide.
Correct one.
Okay, great. So let's kick it off. And it'll be easy to catch up if somebody dials in late or shows up late. So this is this link here is important because this has the notes that you might want to have to keep in case you're interested in replicating this. There'll be a reason for that. So it's on SlideShare. Little MAS is the user, and the link is the GoDaddy Drupal link notes. So it's pretty straightforward. You can, if you get on wireless, you should be able to get it here. And it's essentially about 5 pages on how to bring up Drupal 8 Beta 12 on a GoDaddy shared hosting account. So I'm going to go in a little bit about where we are with Drupal 8 and why this isn't, you know, sort of the out-of-the-box kind of thing that most ISPs provide. This is currently the critical list for Drupal 8 Beta. And before they can go to release candidate, they have to resolve these 10 issues. And it's interesting, I won't go into detail about it, but if you notice some of the longest outstanding issues, which are somewhere between 10 months and a year old, don't really have anything to do with like something that's broken. It has to do with infrastructure issues like documentation or finding out certain things. So there's a lot of cleanup work that's really critical. I'm not slighting that. And I strongly advocate for anybody, both online or here, to try to participate in supporting this effort. If there's anything you can do, I'm currently working on a project that doesn't have a critical issue, but it's got a major issue. And we're trying to get that solved so that we can actually get this into production mode. So, whoa, look at that. That's cool.
So I'm trying to find where your keynote went.
Oh, it disappeared. There you go. Right there. Okay.
Okay.
So the real point of this slide, and you can see there's a link to this on the bottom, which is like 6 feet long, literally 6 feet long, well, maybe 8 actually. It'll take you to the Drupal.org page. It'll go into great detail about all this, but I wouldn't bother with it right now because it's a lot of minutia. So it's important to look at when you're actually going to work on it.
Yeah, sorry, it's not, when it's in.
Is it sharing the other screen?
No, it was, when it's in full screen mode, it does not appear to be sharing it for some reason.
Oh, that's,
so let's do this.
Well, we don't need it in full screen, just show it
No.
over there.
So
You guys can read that? Is that good? Okay.
Just click through on the navigator on the left side.
Yeah. So, assuming that's got the focus. Sorry, technical difficulties. But it's not Drupal. This is not Drupal. This is Keynote, actually. Okay. So, some of the requirements to pull off Drupal 8, Beta 12 on a shared hosting, particularly GoDaddy, they recommend, well, the requirement is PHP 5.5.9. And they're not kidding about that. I mean, you can pull it off with a earlier version of PHP, but they're pretty much saying if you try, you're on your own. But the real honest to gosh about this is they want you to go to 5.6 because a lot of the things that they're doing will wind up breaking on 5.5 eventually. And once again, all these slides will be on SlideShare. We'll make sure everybody gets them. And this is also documented on the document that I provided earlier, the SlideShare document. Now, MySQL isn't as critical, but they're recommending 5.5.3, I think. It's sort of, you know, because PHP extracts away a lot of the MySQL stuff. And then Apache somewhere around 2 something, 2.4 I think a lot of people use. And then Twig is part of this too with Symphony. If you're doing any theming at all, there's this huge paradigm shift from PHP template to Twig, and you can't avoid it. I mean, it's one of the realities of Drupal 8 that you have to understand for theming and whether you like it or not kind of thing. And it is better. I mean, if you're a serious themer, I believe it's a great step forward, but it's just something new to learn. It'll be a hurdle to climb. So for installation, these are the issues. And I provided links, so rather than delve into each piece, you can get on the slides, you can see the links. Specifically, Drupal 8 includes Composer. And if you've ever done dependency management as a part of configuration management, Composer is the built-in tool. However, it's not completely built in, actually, but I'll get into that in a minute. There's a great cheat sheet for Drupal 8 migration from Drupal 7. And that link will be available. And then, of course, Drupal has an install document for Drupal 8, though it's a work in progress. So be very careful with that because it's well-intentioned, but for something like shared hosting, it might send you down a blind alley. And then there are things about Apache and PHP that need to be loaded. Particularly in PHP, there's a graphics device module, and there's a way to basically provide clear URLs through Apache. And so these are items that you really need if you don't have no crash. It's pretty much a clear one. So and in Drupal 8, you've got settings.php, which everybody kind of knows. But now you've also got services.yaml, and that's a new thing. So in this particular installation, we didn't need to tweak any of that. Now, there are other things too. Where you'll get hung on this, in my opinion, is that directory tree has changed. And so Drupal 8 doesn't look like Drupal 7's tree. So you'll go looking for something, or more importantly, you set something up in a place you thought was okay for Drupal 7, and it turns out Drupal 8 can't find it. Okay, and so if you actually get the site up, there are some great sites to look at in terms of, you know, comprehensive site. Most people are familiar with Drupalize Me, and they've actually got a page that goes into great detail for Drupal 8. Back to configuration management. Configuration management is a big issue in Drupal 8. It was something that was sort of an afterthought. You added some modules to handle this, or you did things like features to try to create a means by which you can kind of manage configurations. Well, things have moved now, and this is a good example of how some things get integrated but others don't. Configuration management is built into Drupal 8. However, the Composer Dependency Manager module, which is the thing you use the user interface basically to deal with Composer, which handles dependency management, is something you have to add. And there's a great presentation by Greg Anderson on Composer, and I got the link there, that I suggest you do, because we couldn't possibly spend enough time here. We'd all be retired before it was over. He did a great job with it, though. He actually presented that up at the San Francisco Drupal meetup about a month ago, and it was well received. And somewhat, people were a little afraid of it because it was really complicated. So what we want to do, we're going to spin this up, and we're going to get it ready to trick out, theme and do everything. And so the goal is, once we get the site up, we're going to add users and assign roles, and we're going to put an icon and a logo up, and then we'll tweak the theme's look to meet whatever aesthetics we have. Mine are pretty low, frankly. And then create some articles on the front page with comments, and do a blog page for a user, and then maybe do an about page with a map. And then once again, there is no added modules to this. Frankly, we're not ready to add any modules. That's a level of complexity that would throw us all right out of the window, I think. So with that, we want to move straight into, Christopher's going to spin this up on GoDaddy, and there are no tricks here. Both of us will attest to the fact that there's nothing up our sleeves. We haven't done anything special. In fact, we had problems ourselves because we're novices sort of at spinning up beta 12 on GoDaddy. But we got it running 2 or 3 times, I think, at least 2 or 3.
Yeah, and so we'll try doing this here. I just want to do a quick check and make sure that that's coming through on Hangouts as we switch over the look and feel to the cPanel interface. And I've been noticing there's about a 30-second lag between what we're seeing in the room and what's showing up over the wire. So,
oh, is it that long?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I just want to make sure that that's going to come over here in a second. And as soon as it does, that's great. If it doesn't, I will switch over. I think I may want to do that. Okay, so I think that is what we are seeing over there. So what we are looking at here is the standard. I still see Keynote. Okay, we'll give it a second there.
Okay.
Oh,
there you are.
Okay.
So you, yeah, I think you got it. Yes, bingo.
Okay, right on. So what we are sharing is what things look like in cPanel, which is the control panel for our shared hosting Linux environments. And it's pretty straightforward. This was one I just spun up yesterday. And the interesting thing about this environment is that it's pretty easy to find all the things that you might want to manage as far as databases and domains and such. But the interesting thing is it has Installatron as part of the environment. And so what we're going to do is a couple of different things. We're going to spin up Drupal from Installatron, which just comes as part of the environment. One of the things that we learned yesterday was that the betas through Installatron, anything below beta 10, spun up and installed just fine. 11 and 12, we actually needed to go in and tweak some things in the database before we could get it to install. And we're actually talking to Installatron as of yesterday to see if we can get that fixed. So actually haven't tried doing this today yet, so they may have actually.
Do we want to check the PHP settings?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So as far as the settings that we need before we go in, what we want to do is we want to make sure we're on PHP 5.5, and what we want to do is, let me go back, sorry.
Did you use cPanel? It's a common. I have used it. I don't like it, but I like that.
So we had switched this to PHP version 5.5, and these are all the different PHP modules that are set. And a lot of the key ones that we want to set, we want to make sure MV string is set. We want to make sure that the PDO and PDO MySQL are set. Those are a couple of the key ones, and obviously MySQL needs to be set up and such. So it looks like we're in pretty good shape here. This, and again, you can go through and you can click any of these on or off if you want to set that, and then that will set it. And then we also want to check and want to see that we're using the right amount of memory. We have this cranked up that we're using 512 megs of memory for PHP, which is what we want here. That's basically kind of firewalled as much as we can turn that on for this environment. So the PHP stuff looks good. And then yesterday what we did was we went in, and this is what Installatron gives us as far as being able to set up Drupal. And you can see that there are a lot of different versions we can install. What we're going to do is we're going to try and get beta 12 rather to install. So we click on install this app. Installatron asks us what domain we want to set this up on. This was the domain that's hooked up to this cPanel account, so it's just SV Drupal Meetup 729. We want it to go in the root. It's going to ask us what version we want to install, and we're going to try beta 12. And as we said yesterday, we about halfway through the process, we're going to need to probably go in and tweak some database things, and then continue the install through the
and this is an
main
important
interface.
Part. When you go into the Drupal install, you'll need to have the database name and, of course, the username for that database and password. And of course, you might want to set your website title at that point as well.
Yep. So why don't we set these up to something like Drupal 8, yep, B12.
That's good.
And for the admin password, let's just write these down. Drupal 8, B12. And for now, I will set a password here. And hopefully that is, hopefully what I wrote down is what we had, we tried, otherwise we'll need to do a password reset. And for our website title, we're going to call it Silicon Valley Drupal Meetup. Okay?
Great.
So now we click install, and this should go through. It should give us a nice thermometer bar in a second here. And as I said, we saw some glitches yesterday. They may or may not have fixed it on the Installatron side overnight. Okay, so this is what we were seeing yesterday. So what we've learned was we need to go back in and make sure the database is set up. Now, the database that they set up here is called, it's I673139.
Yes, what we're finding is there were some things in the PHP extensions that this wasn't picking up. And what we can do, for some reason actually, is enter the cPanel databases, check and see that we have the database names correct, and then make sure we add the user for that database, which should have already happened, but it looks like it may not have.
Yep. So we had set up this admin user earlier, and we just created a user called I1673139 admin. And what we're going to do is we're going to add this user to the database. So we're going to add, it's going to ask us what privs we want. Since we want this to be the admin user, we're going to give her all privs, and we're going to say make changes. And then at that point, it says, okay, we're good. So now, theoretically, we should be able to go over and continue the install, interestingly, actually from the site itself. So Drupal 8, what it does is it installs all the files first and then hooks the database stuff up. So if we go to this URL, if all is well, we should see the stub of a Drupal install, and it should start taking us through the admin from here. And since we just set up the user, we should be able to, when we get down to the database step, we should be able to do that. So we're going to set it up in English. It's going to ask us what kind of profile we want. We want a standard profile. It's going to make sure. Now, can I go back to verify, or does it just skip that if we're all good?
Yeah, must.
Okay, so we're all good. So the database name we wrote down before we know it is actually, let me double check. 1673139. 1673139 underscore, I believe it was group 1, and the username was I1673139 admin, and if I remember the admin password
And then there's
correctly.
some advanced options here, and this is the, for Drupal's the important part. The host name needs to be put in here.
And that should be just the same as the URL you are installing on in this environment. So if I remember,
Just keep it at localhost?
The way this environment is set up, I believe it needs to map to the domain. I hadn't tried it with localhost. When we tried it this way on another site yesterday, it worked. So, okay, so if I typed everything correctly and I hit go, okay, we see the thermometer bars going. And if all goes well, we should get a happy success message here in a second. Okay, so now site name, we're going to call this the Drupal meetup site. I'm just going to put my email in there. Hello, Internet. You don't know my email address. You probably did anyway. Okay, and so this, we can call it, let's call this user Drupal 8B12. Password in. And we'll make it strong. And they match. Email address is me. We're going to set this up in the US. And we're going to go to local time zone. Go America.
There aren't that many time zones.
Yeah, exactly. I have found that.
Planet are all these.
Yeah, I have found that America, Los Angeles is usually the easiest and closest one that is here. Let's see if we've got LA in the list somewhere. JKL, there we go. Okay, sure, check for notifications, check for updates, send me stuff if it matters, save and continue, and
All right,
woohoo!
we have Drupal.
Okay, so we are set. You installed Drupal, and now it automatically logs us in because we set it up and we're admin. We can do things like look at the config and walk through
one
here.
issue with this. I think I bring it up in the document that's on SlideShare, but it's oh my God, beta
Since yesterday.
Okay.
We are truly on the bleeding edge.
Yeah, we missed our target here, but that's okay. Maybe we could try updating it. That would be interesting.
We could.
Yes, that would be like suicide.
Working without a net.
Trusted host settings. Anybody familiar with that? I think it's not new to Drupal 8, but the idea is that you want to avoid host header attacks. And there's a setting for this in Drupal, and it just doesn't set it up. So,
no.
And for us, I don't think we're going to worry about it.
Now, so with that, and tag you
That's it.
back in.
So what I will do is I will create some accounts so all of you can log into this thing. Let me take this out of the stratosphere for a minute, so I can. Let me pull this away for a moment, so I can, without craning my neck too badly. So what I'm going to do is. Go into content. I'm going to add users.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, this is going to be like the most insecure thing you'd ever want to do. I'm going to add all of you as administrators. And so I need email. Oh, that's right. That's always the getcha. Well,
you can probably just put in random email, right? Because you don't really need it to log in.
Right. Well, that's my intention. So the password will be password 1234, and I will create names starting with let's see, Drupal 8-1, and the role will be administrator, and permissions are any, and status is any. Okay, so okay, so the first one is Drupal user 1, and the password is a password 123. So whoever'd like to get on that, and then Drupal. And the second is Drupal user 2, and the password, once again, is password 123. Whoa. No data received. I think I got an error here. Let me, can you, I don't know if you can see it. That's an unusual looking screen for
for Drupal. It says error empty response.
We can try doing a refresh.
I will. I'm just looking at, this is an unusual, because of its dearth of Chrome, and then there's a little error down there. Reload the page, so we'll take care of that. And then 3. Probably takes the longest amount of time setting up the accounts. Okay, so each of you should be able to get on and access the site. I'll set up another one here. Okay, so we've got some accounts set up. Hold this back over here.
Has anybody used user 4 yet? Yeah, I'll grab user 4. Drupal user 1, Drupal user 2, Drupal user 3, and Drupal user 4.
Password?
Password 123.
I'm using Drupal user 3.
Yes.
Okay, I mean it's 4.
Password 1. Password 1.
PASSWRD.
Not just one wrong.
We're all admins, Michael?
Yes.
We're man with power.
Everybody is an admin. And I'll set one more up. I think there's some people online. And so it'll be a first come, first serve kind of thing, but let's see. Five. And they'll be an administrator too. Okay, so now let me see if I can do a chat here in case there's somebody who's wanting to get added. So if you're online, try Drupal user 5, and the password is password 123. Let's see based on that who's on, who's not. Boy, it's hard to read that. And it's hard to read this, but I know. Pardon me for a moment while I show my age. Yes. So now what we have is a configurable site. I believe all the modules we need might be already active. That's right, my mouse needs to be over there. I'm looking, by the way, I'm looking at the Google Hangout of the video that everybody sees on their big screen. And so I see my mouse and I'm going, okay, why does this mouse work? Because it's over here that it has to work. And I want to do, first let's look at people. Okay. So we've got 4 users online. Not sure, I guess I'm the last one. And so the objective was to, first thing we were going to do is add some features. And we'll do that by looking at appearance. We'll do that the first thing we'll do. And we're in Bartik, which I picked. This is the default. If somebody would like to choose another one, they're more than welcome to. But the reason I choose Bartik is because you can kind of play around with the settings a little bit. So we can change the color from the way it is to the way one might like it to be. But what I'd like to do is change the default logo and then upload our logo. If I can pull it out. Now I'm going to have to drag this little puppy over. Oh, maybe I can't. Maybe I'm just going to have whiplash here. I think I put it in here. So let's see.
gdlogo.ping.
I hope that's yours. Okay, so that's the logo image I'm going to try to. All right, and then we'll get the icon setting changed. And somewhere there's a.
It was just 3 down from there. 2 more lines. There you go.
All right. So now if that works, bingo.
All right on.
And
I
so
just did a refresh on this side, and it took globally, which is good.
not sure about the icon, but okay. So getting back to what we were going to try to do in terms of, we're going to add an icon and logo. We're going to tweak the theme look. And so I volunteer one of you to make a change to the theme that would reflect something profound, like blue to green or something. Because I think green is a GoDaddy color, right?
It is.
Okay, so I'll let somebody out there dive into making the banner green or something such a thing.
Okay.
Yes. And then the big item, the heavy duty item would be to add content to the front page. Do we have any volunteers to do that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. And so it will look differently than it does now. It will have character and uniqueness. So let's see what people see on that screen. So believe it or not, in much less than an hour, we've got the site up and running. And it's not gorgeous yet, but you know, babies coming out of the birth canal don't look very good. So they get pretty after delivery. So let me, okay, so now we're going to refresh the page here. See if anybody's worked any magic. Whoa, look at that.
Oh, right on.
That actually looks pretty good. We may have to change GoDaddy's logo and stuff to meet up with that. That's slick. Good work. Okay. Now I need some content. That looks great. So maybe I can take us around to another page. Let's see. Where can we go from here?
So we have a content on confirmation. I have it.
Oh, right on. So if we refresh,
Yeah.
excellent.
Refresh time. It's easier to do that standing up, actually, because whoops. That's interesting.
Right on.
All right, look at that. My God, it's looking like a website.
Yeah.
Okay, and so if we get into let's look at extend. Now this is an interesting list here. These are all parts of Drupal 8, and we once again, I hate to be redundant, but we've added no modules to this, and so this is what you get in the base package. You get, the usual stuff like a block or color, but you also get things like CK Editor built in. You get custom blocks now, not just blocks. You get logging functions. What's a good one? You get migration. You get responsive images built in. Now, not all those are activated. Now, the thing I like best is at the end, actually. We're coming up here. Entity references, but what I think really changes things are this: multilingual is now built in, and what can take as many as 40 modules now can be done principally in core, but with a minimal amount of addition. And lastly, you can add web services to get full RESTful HTTP request services, which means that you can use Drupal core and completely avoid the UI if you have a reason to. You can make it a web services server. You can make it a mobile application server. You could make it a backend for another server architecture like Joomla or WordPress or App Engine. So I think this is really significant because a lot of people find that the front end is very useful, very workable. And with Twig and Symfony 2 and all that, they have a lot of synergy because they've really built a lot of existing intellectual property around Drupal, and so that's a big plus. But I think for people who are looking for a great backend that's got great admin tools, great DevOps support, that you'll see more mobile applications being used on the front end with Drupal providing the backend. Okay, so Is there anything we'd like to turn on here to help us build our site? We have views, UI built in, and it's active. Of course, there's testing. We're not going to take that on right now. Frankly, I don't think I'm ready for that. Syslog, stats. We could do responsive image, but I don't know that we've got any images that would. Oh, let's turn it on. What the heck? There we go. And even migration's part of it now. Well, I don't know. Any suggestions? Okay, well, let's try a. Oh, I know what we can do. We can activate all of these as well. Let's see if that'll crash it.
We can try language.
Which one?
Language.
Language, just above it.
Oh, let's turn on all that. Yeah. There we go. Save the configuration. Oh, there are updates. That's something you can't get away from in Drupal, I'll tell you. It's worse than Microsoft Windows.
You can disable the update manager module.
Yes. But it is interesting that we're now a rev behind. Where beta 12 is like now. One of the unfortunate things about beta, and this is an important point, they didn't build a migration from one beta to the other. So going from one beta to the next can be difficult if you're doing it on your own. Though the providers can find a way to get around that by automatically backing up your database and your files and then slipping in the new one and going forward. So
Beta 13 was published.
yeah. I'm just waiting for the release candidate myself, and that looks like it's not too far off. I'm guessing we'll have release candidate by the end of September. That's my guess. So if we go back home, let's see if we blew up anything. Nope. So let's see if search works. Oh, no results.
So I wonder if the indexer needs to be turned on or
I don't know.
like.
Well, I mean, the logo is obviously not going to be found, but I thought that it would be, we had something in the text. Let's go back. No, maybe not. Let's try, if I can pick the right screen view. There we go.
Maybe Google.
You can always find, oops. There we go. You can always find Google. Oh, maybe not. That's definitely not a feature that I've learned about. Okay, because I think we turned on all the modules to support search. It may just pull up tags. That could be. But I have it set for content, so it should find the home page, I would think. So we said we'd get it up and running, but we didn't say it'd be perfect. Lastly, we want to, let me flip back to, whoops. Okay, here we are live again. And let me switch over to our slides because I didn't show the last one. Okay. So the last slide is we're giving away the site. The idea here is that to the lucky candidate, they get this site and a free year's worth of shared hosting.
Yep. Yeah. So we give. Yeah. So the do big drawing.
Yes, I wish I could offer to those online, but this is the reward they got for fighting Silicon Valley traffic. You want to do it the way we did it last time?
Yeah. Although I'm trying to remember how we did it last time.
Oh,
yes.
closest to today.
Yeah. Yeah. So is anybody's birthday today? No. Within 1 week, either way.
I have brother August 17th.
October 17th?
August
17th.
August 10th.
Oh, August 10th.
Oh. And any closer?
What is your birthday? My birthday, August 10th.
Okay.
Okay,
So
we have a winner.
I will make sure. Do you know if you have a GoDaddy?
I do have a
account?
GoDaddy.
Okay, if you send me your just your customer number, what I can do.
It's a pain to service. Why not have a user?
I can hold on. Well, I can look it up if you want.
Yeah, that is one thing I hate about GoDaddy.
You should be able to log in with username.
No.
Too. Well, because it may have changed because I'm able to log in with username.
Okay. I always have to go back to like one of the
Oh,
emails
okay.
or
Okay. We did it. I can't believe it.
Excellent.
I'll tell you, this is the truth. If we can do it, I think anybody can do it. You know, I mean, it's work, okay, and it requires, I believe, a bit of persistence. I think most of us would attest to that. But all in all, I think, you know, Drupal 8's quite doable.
Yeah.
And
it was interesting, as we were saying with the earlier versions of the beta, it actually went all the way through. You didn't even have to muck around with the database and stuff. So do you have your number?
it is 403 432 38.
Okay, excellent. So tomorrow, when you wake up, there will be a year's free cPanel hosting in your account.
Nice.
now we can give you this site, or you can build it yourself. Do you have a preference?
So if you give me this site, I can always overwrite it, right? Or I cannot.
I could.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess you could. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is fine.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
We'll wrap it up and
Yeah, we'll figure out.
zip it up and
send
email it to you. But like I said, now what we'll do here is we'll have these slides that I've shown on the Meetup site. There'll be a link to that. And there's a link in there to the document that I published on SlideShare that show you all the details on how to navigate through GoDaddy in order to set things up correctly. But the reality is there aren't very many things that you really need to do to make it work, even with the idiosyncrasies of the database. It mostly reflects the fact that as GoDaddy has tried to implement this and as Drupal is continually moving forward, you get some mismatches, mostly in PHP because it's a PHP application. And so the people at Drupal say, well, we're going to add some more extensions in order to make it more robust or make it just work. And then we got a little lag before the providers catch up. Now, I have an account also on Pantheon. Anybody here use Pantheon? And while their site comes up a little more quickly because that's what they're selling, they're pretty much a Drupal and to some degree WordPress site, I get a number of errors when I look at the logs bringing up beta 12 on Pantheon. but they're not critical errors. You know, but if I develop the site, I could run into the problems. So I think everybody's still sort of, it's a moving target. I think the big thing about it is that the betas are not supported in terms of migration or updates. They pretty much leave it up to you to do that. And what that does, frankly, is it reduces the number of items in the critical list, because if they ignore update and migration, they force the user community to figure that out. They work on features, you work on keeping it current. And that way these things get supported without them having to make a big issue of it. You know, if the product's compelling enough, people will do what it takes to use it. And I've already talked to a couple of agencies who said, we would really like the community to do migration and update, but we can't wait for it, so we'll do it ourselves. And of course, they're not going to keep it to themselves. They post it. It's an open source project. They post it to the community because they don't want to support it. And so it gets its own momentum. That really works out well. I guess Drupal's figured out the politics of open source. Anyway, any questions? Anything we can do? I would like to ask the viewers that too, but I have a feeling that I don't think the chat module's working on this thing, which is rather strange.
I have an announcement. If you are done.
I'm done, yes.
So actually, we work with eBay and Netflix, and both of them are looking for Drupal developers
Really?
on site.
Oh, fantastic.
So let me know. I'll probably put up my email address on the meetup, or it's admin@redcrackle.com.
Okay.
admin@redcrackle.com.
Okay.
You can contact me, and we can proceed from there if you're interested.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad we'll post that for sure. Well, good. Well, I'm going to end the Hangout, and it is online. I'll actually post the URL for anybody who wants to watch the broadcast, because it's real. We made it happen. It worked. And so thank you all for joining us.